Hi, and welcome to the Mental Health Raw and Open podcast. I'm your host, Jody, and I created this show to have honest, candid conversations about mental health in an effort to help reduce the stigma. I am issuing a trigger warning as many of the topics we discuss may be highly sensitive for some. If you are having suicidal thoughts, please reach out to someone, go to your local hospital, or call a crisis line. In the United States, call 1-800-273-8255, or in Canada, 1-833-456-4566. On today's show, we're going to speak to a dear friend of mine, Shreya Patel. Shreya does just about everything. She is an actress, she's a model, she is a film producer and director. She is an avid mental health advocate and an active member of Bell Let's Talk community. I'm going to let Shreya tell us a little bit more about herself. Shreya, welcome to the show. Thank you so much. I know how busy you are, so thank you for your time.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Of course. I don't even know where to start. You do everything. So Shreya is like an actress, and she's a filmmaker. And if you've seen TV commercials in Canada, she's a Bell Let's Talk rep and a mental health advocate. And now we can throw in an aerialist, which is new to me, and a dancer and an actress. And she deals with mental health issues. So on you go, my dear.
Thank you so much. You're so sweet. Let's talk. What do you want to talk about?
Anything. Let's start with, how are you feeling? Is your depression managed now? I know you struggle with it off and on.
Yes, it's actually, it's more of an anxiety, not depression.
Okay.
I must have felt depressed for sure throughout my life at times, but I think anxiety was something that I've had for a while, but I did not know that I had it until much later in life. I am doing much, much better. I am more aware of how to cope with it.
Yes.
So it's been manageable for sure.
That's good. I like to hide behind writing. I hide behind a screen, and everything seems to be out. So to be able to do all that in front of people and not have a nervous breakdown, I'm impressed.
Thank you. I think for me, like, self-care is number one thing, which I realized much early in my life, because there was a time when I was in India and I got really, really sick and I had no one. And at that time I was like, oh my God, health is so important. And I obviously got better over time, and I always put my health above everything else. So self-care is my number one thing. So even though I'm always doing things outside and working and shooting and all of that, I always take time, even if it's at the end of the day and I get only 4 hours of sleep, I do something for myself.
Good. That's a tip that everyone can learn from. I personally, I suck at self-care. I was supposed to have a self-care day on Saturday, and I didn't know what to do because my mind is so busy. BPD minds are always spinning. So to focus just on one thing for me is difficult. I like to have 2 or 3 things that I can focus on all at once. So to do nothing for me is incredibly hard.
Self-care could come from different things too, though. Like, have you ever tried sound healing?
No.
It is incredible. I was introduced to it about a couple of months ago, and it is, all you have to do is literally lie down, and I go to the Lotus Yoga Center, and they play the gong there. So they make you really comfy. Like, you get your pillows and your blankets and all of that, and they close the lights, and someone plays the gong for you. And it is the most rejuvenating thing that I've ever experienced. I've gotten a lot of my friends into it too. I think we should go together to one of these things and do self-care that way.
I've never even heard of it.
You know what? I did not know about it either. It's just I recently got into Kundalini Yoga, and that was one of the courses that was offered. And I was like, what is sound healing? Let me go give it a shot. It's just made me a new person. Every time after that 1 hour, I feel rejuvenated. And I think that it would really help you as well.
Oh, for sure. I'm up for anything, like new shit like that. As long as I don't have to do it by myself, I'm good.
I'll be there. We can just lie down beside each other and
that's awesome.
It's different for everyone. Like, I remember the first time I did it, it was a very internal feeling, and weird to say it out loud, but it almost made me realize like there's like a whole universe inside of you. And I felt that when the gong was played for the first time, and it's different for everyone. So I think a lot of things that I was suppressing from before, it came up, like the blockages were released. And the way the blockages release, it's like things come up and you have to deal with it. And that's what happened to me. So the gong was like, oh, this is overwhelming, but in the best way possible, because I got out of so much things that I was ignoring. And then one of my other friends did it, and she just loves the experience. Just like, she's like, every time I get out, I'm really happy. I'm like, yeah, like for me, a lot of things come up, but it's for the best. And now I'm feeling happy too. Yeah, it's a very high vibration. So it stays in your body for 72 hours, which is why like they tell you to drink a lot of water, stay in the nature.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to have to read up on that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So that's good. I'm glad that you have all these coping skills. That's a huge part of being able to manage how you obviously manage such a busy schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about your film. I haven't obviously seen it, but I've read as much as I possibly can. I know it's called Girl Up, and it's about human trafficking, and go on.
Yeah, so Girl Up was something, it was my first documentary. It just happened. I actually was modeling for a very long time, and then I decided to go into documentary filmmaking, and I did my master's in documentary and film, and
Where?
my first at York in Seneca.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
Yeah, and my first documentary was not even supposed to be about human trafficking. It was supposed to be about a murder case that happened in my hometown in Sarnia.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I did a pre-production and everything, and the day that I was supposed to go shooting, I realized that the trial of that case got moved to 2 years from that time. And I had to finish this for a school project. So I was like, oh, I have 2 months to cast, do a pre-production, like production and post-production. That is insane, actually, for making a documentary. And I was like, what can I do? My teacher's like, do something easy so you can get it done. And I'm like, well, I didn't get into documentary filmmaking to do something easy. I got into documentary filmmaking because I want to tell stories. So I ended up meeting 12 convicts, and I ended up meeting like a Hells Angel hitman, and I ended up meeting like all these really interesting people with interesting stories. But my teacher and some of my mentors were like, it's just you doing the documentary. When you have a bigger team, it is more safer to tell these stories. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll do it on sex work, and maybe someone who's an ex-sex worker who's coming back to the community and how community perceives her and how she's dealing with coming back. I met someone, the survivor in my film, and I thought she was just a sex worker, but she wasn't. And when she was telling me her story, I realized that she was domestic human trafficked. No idea what that even meant. What do you mean? And she explained it to me, and I was like, I did not even understand the concept of it. So everything that I learned was through her. Made the documentary in 2 months, did not have the courage to show it for 2 years because it's such a short amount of time to make a documentary, and I am kind of like a perfectionist. So I was like, I don't know if it's good. I don't know. And then finally I showed it to my family and friends. And one of the producers who I acted in the film that one of the girls produced, she was there, and she's like, there's a lot of human trafficking stories that are coming out right now. Why don't you extend it? And I always felt that way, even when I made it years ago, that I was like, I wish I could tell this story in a bigger and better way. And then my mom started sending me newspaper articles about the same thing. And craziest thing happened. So in Sarnia, they did like a little article about how I made a short doc, and an MPP in Queen's Park saw it and tweeted it to my mayor in Sarnia. And I was like, what is going on? She ended up being one of the people who actually helped pass the anti-human trafficking bill, which is a C-96 Girl Next Door Act bill. And I was like, oh, I got my next person who I can interview for my documentary, because you get like the political stance in the documentary. So I have another journalist friend who introduced me to Tamara Cherry, who is a journalist who has been reporting about this since 2008. So I have her perspective too. So the documentary ended up becoming 15-minute long, and it's a feature now.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. And it got showcased at the Sarnia in a theater where Victim Services put it up. So that was where it started. And from that time, it's been showcased to many different community screenings and panels. And the best thing that happened to it, I'm so utterly grateful, is TIFF found the review about the documentary online, and Instagram messaged me about it. And they were like, hey, can we use this film to showcase it at the Civic Action Summit, where there's about 500 civic action leaders, invites only, who talk about 5 different situations. One of them is human trafficking and how to deal with it, like how to tackle it basically. And I was like, oh my God, what? Are you serious? And they're like, yeah, we're sending out 5 to 6 films to Civic Action and they're going to be picking one of the films. And I was like, oh no, I have no chance. There is no way. It's not pretty looking. It's not, you know what I mean? I was like, it's just me making it. How will it ever get anywhere? Month and a half later, I get a message saying that they want clips of your film and that's the only film that they're going to be using. What?
So then I can expect, I better get you to send me something with your signature on it now, because by September, I'm sure this will be screening at TIFF.
Oh my God, thank you. So basically got partnered with Civic Action Summit, and then Cameron Bailey from TIFF introduced the film. I was like, Mom, Dad, I can retire. Like, this is a dream come true. And he said such wonderful things about the film and introduced it. And then it was actually showcased at the TIFF Residence Theater just in June. So
cool.
Yeah.
We need it in the big one in September when all the stars are around. That's when you need to show it.
Yeah, I'm just so grateful for this opportunity. I think I'm done with the film now because it's been with me for such a long time. And I was thinking of writing a play actually on how trafficking occurs so people can watch.
Visualize it, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's probably something that I've been thinking about.
That's very cool.
Yeah, I'm just very, very grateful that this happened. It's just like hard work pays off. Even though it took me 4 years, hard work.
4 years in the grand scheme of things. My God, you're still a baby. 4 years is nothing.
Yeah.
Right? To be able to come out with an accomplishment like that. So it takes people 40 years before they even accomplish something that makes them feel as proud as what you must feel of what you've accomplished.
Thank you. That means so much. It's always like hard work pays off. Good things happen to good people.
Yeah, and I think everything in life's got a little bit of karma. It comes back to you, right? And
yeah,
karma, and you're going to get some good karma back. And sometimes when a door shuts, we get really stressed out about the fact that it's shut and we've lost this and we've lost that. Sometimes an opportunity just happens, and that's kind of our sign to know that was okay to shut the door and move on.
Yes, that's so beautifully put.
So now I have to figure out, how do I see this?
I can send you the link. I don't think I'm going to make it public, because one day when I make something really nice, it's going to be worth putting up in public. I think that this documentary was lovely and everything, and I'm very grateful, but I wish I had a team. But
it'll be different and bigger because you won't have to carry all the weight on your next one.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. It's like I'll have more resources to make it bigger, better, more mass appeal, and also have awareness to it, which is the main reason why I made the documentary.
So something that needs touched on because it's so not talked about here. You hear a lot about, child trafficking is very, very high in places like the Philippines, some areas of Thailand.
Yes.
A lot of places like that. But people don't talk about the guys who just busted a house in the States that had 26 refugees in it.
Yep.
Can't even imagine.
It's so scary. Like, it's happening right in front of you. And again, like, I can't speak for any of this because I'm just the filmmaker who's putting up a mirror for everyone to see what's happening. But it's just the more I learn, the less I know almost, because there's so much that's going on right in front of you and you're not aware of it.
Yeah, and I think the problem with most people, and even with the education system, is, like in school, English is great and everything, and you need to be able to speak properly and write properly, but, I don't think 400 book reports are really necessary, whereas you could be having a course on life skills, coping skills, things people actually need to be taught before they're 30 and snap.
Yes, I so agree. It's so cool. It just reminds me of a very special teacher that I had in high school. And he used to teach society and change, and he's impacted my life in so many ways. He actually came to see my documentary last year. He was the one who, we would go to class and he'd be like, close your books, we don't need it. I'd be like, what? And he's like, what do you want to talk about? Let's talk about real stuff, because none of this book stuff matters. And he would talk about politics. He would talk about how the world works. He would talk about how the 1% work. Like, he's like, what do you guys want to debate about today? What do you guys want to talk about today? And then he's like, you know what, let's meditate, because that's important. He would make us put all of our desk away and meditate. And then he would also be like, in high school, like, there's a lot of cliques. Of course, it's like every high school. He's like, right now, this is day 1 of class. He's like, you think that, you're a jock and you're a cheerleader and you're a hockey player, but at the end of the day, you all feel the same things, and I'll make you realize that at the end of this course. And it's true, because he made us write essays on what we're feeling, what we're going through. And then he would ask if anyone of us would want to read the essays out in class. And so when the essays are read, so one of this girls, it impacted me highly, was this girl who was extremely bullied in school. Everyone would make fun of her and all of these things. And she went up and spoke about child abuse. Like, she goes through abuse at home. And everyone in class was just so shocked. Everyone apologized and all of that. Then this one girl came out as a lesbian in class. And this one other guy spoke about his pressures of being on a hockey team because he doesn't want to play, but his dad is forcing him. So all of these stories came out, and suddenly everyone was like, oh my God, we all feel the same thing. We all are having these teenage issues, and everyone is in the same playing ground. Why do we have this cliques? None of this matters. Class, everyone was friends. It was just it's such an incredible human being, such an incredible horse.
It goes all the way down to culture. Children will play with any other children. Until you teach them hatred.
Yes.
They don't see color. Children have friends. They don't know of color. My ex-girlfriend's son, so her sister has 3 mixed children. And when Elijah was growing up, he was so confused. How come they're his cousins? And like genuinely confused. How they're his cousins and they're brown and he's white.
Wow, yeah.
Like he didn't understand. And what's brown, he would say. They don't see color. They don't see any of this.
Yeah.
So we shove it down their throat. And
they don't understand.
In Asia, they started doing, for a long time, they've been doing it. Meditation for children as young, like grade 1.
Wow, I wish that was in schools here.
Oh, absolutely. I was talking the other day with a teacher. She's a math teacher, believe it or not. And every Wednesday, she stops teaching math and she pulls her class together in a circle. And they talk about them and what's happening with them. And like some people have, again, come out of the closet. Some people have said they've been struggling with self-harm thoughts. And this is a math class, okay?
Wow.
So that people were actually, some parents were like complaining, like, who is she to think she's doing this? And why is she not just teaching math? But the kids, if they don't have one, they beg for it. They need it.
Wow.
If you show them something another way, they'll take it. But if you never show them, it's like growing up. When I was abused growing up, how the hell did I not know that was normal? That was my normal, so why isn't it everybody else's normal?
That's normal, yeah. Yeah, as a kid, you don't know, like it's like the way you're nurtured, right? It's like it's your conditioning. And I think someone told me it's like the first 7 years of your life will determine how you will live in the future with the values and the conditioning that you have.
I know personally for myself, I was adopted when I was 18 months and late age, I was in foster homes and I was abused in all of them except for one. And when I came to my parents' house, I was literally so afraid that I stood in, like my mom said, I stood in the corner for 2 days. I was not coming out for anybody. I wasn't moving. Nobody could come near me. I was stressed the hell out.
Oh my God.
Just out of pure fear. And so that's how I grew up, as being afraid of adults for so long, or afraid of authority, or little things like that. Like why I was afraid to have a bath for so long. I didn't know until I found out I almost drowned. It's just weird things that come up later in life. And if you don't have the right direction, the right support, the right attachment level, like from 0 to 18 months or 0 to 2 is so important. And because of all those issues, I know that my root cause of every single one of my problems is abandonment. That's it.
Wow.
Every fear, everything I have has come down to being left. Now they branch out in other ways because of other experiences, but that's the root cause.
Thank you for sharing that with me. The fact that you're aware of that is like, it's so good. Not good as in like what happened to you, but the fact that it's like self-aware.
Yeah, it's taken a long time for sure, but at some point in time, it just kind of clicked.
Yeah, and then you work towards it. I wish I met you earlier.
I feel like I've known you for a long time. I feel like you're like, don't take this the wrong way, I feel like you're an old soul. Does that make sense?
Yes, I do. I totally believe that.
Like, people say that to me all the time. Oh, you're like old for your age, but I'm really young for my age at the same time. Like a fine balance in there somewhere.
No, I get told that too. Because I can have these conversations and I don't know, it's...
Nowadays, everyone, with the text, there's no tone to text and people are busy and there's no time to talk on the phone and there's just such a human disconnect. And I think that's a lot of the problem. And I know personally when I start isolating, I further isolate because you're isolating, but you know what you're doing is not right, but You
Yeah.
feel like you can't reach out, and then you just continue sinking. So at some point in time, in order to stop hanging on to the anchor that's going on the bottom of the sea, you have to start to swim up a bit.
Yeah, I
And
love that. And you always have me, call me anytime.
oh yes, I know where you are, my dear. And the same goes with you. I know you're all managed and everything's cool, but you know, if you just need a friend or a vent or an opinion or anything, you know where
You're
I
the
am.
best. Yeah, it's nice to connect with people that are like you.
And we
'Cause
met at such
it's
a like a
all-
cool thing too.
Yeah, it is a very cool thing. It's especially with people, not everyone, I can't say everyone, but a lot of generalizing, I know, but a lot of people are so caught up with the fake world. What I mean by it is everyone's just on their phones. And I am the least person to be on my phone. Sometimes I can't message as soon as I want to, is because I'm actually real lifing with people. Like,
Yeah, it's just
you know,
horrible. You go to the dinner table or out to a restaurant, and there's 4 people there, and they're all on their phones while they're eating. It was like, okay, first of all, why did you bother coming out, and why did you not just come alone?
yeah, we could have just spoken on the phone. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
it's so sad to see that, and everyone's just on their phones. And the worst thing that I see, it's kind of funny now, but it's like when I'm on a shoot or something, like I'm the last person to be taking photos of myself or wanting to put it up on Instagram right away. Like, I don't know, like there are people that are like just at certain events or shoots and stuff just so bad. I'm like, oh, this is like the last thing I want to do. Like someday I wish I could hire a PR or someone to do it for me, because I am the last person on this planet Earth to be on my phone and doing it. I'm like, I love my work. I love my work, but I'm so content with doing my work. I don't feel the need to post it online for validated.
I've
Like,
seen some of your pictures. You're absolutely stunning, and you photograph
thank you.
incredibly well.
Thank you.
Some people may be beautiful, but might not photograph so well. You have the gift of having both, and your eyes have a depth of soul in them.
Thank you. I'm so grateful. Thank you.
We met at just to let everyone know, we met at a film premiere of a mental health film called Perspective, and it was a fantastic film.
Yes, it was.
And Jay is doing absolutely fabulous. I have to get his little butt on the show soon.
Yes. What an incredible young person making a film about mental health. He is amazing. And the fact that the film showcased men and spoke about mental health, it was everything. I was like, this film needs to be shown to more mass audiences.
It's amazing how he portrayed so many things with so few words and hit almost every aspect of an emotion that someone will feel regardless of what you've been diagnosed with.
Yes, it is just such a beautifully shot. Everything when the film was just amazing. The event itself was just so great.
Yeah, and then on top of that, the guy's making records and shit too. So like, and he's just like, what is he, like 25 or something? I said the same thing to him. Okay, send me something signed before you're living in LA, and I'm like in your backyard somewhere tenting.
he's such a talented young boy.
He is, and it's, again, as you said, it's awesome for a man to take on, and he has no shame. If he's depressed, he'll talk about it, and that's how it should be. Enough of this don't cry shit.
Oh, please.
Enough of this masculine shit. Enough.
Yeah, it's so tiring. Do you know what's this guy's name? Justin something. He's on a TV show, and he did this short documentary series with his friends, and it's all guys talking about why don't men cry? What does it mean to be masculine? Like, why is that? What does being a man mean? And it's such a beautiful, I think there's 3 parts to it. I can send it to you.
Yeah, please do.
Such an important mini doc that he made with just his friends talking about it.
It's so important to start this discussion. It needs to be like, hi, how are you day? How was your day? How was school? Did anyone bully you? Feeling suicidal? Have you had thoughts of self-harm? Like, it needs to just be in conversation, casual conversation. And the one thing that I have learned is there's such a stigma with saying, oh, if you ask somebody if they're going to self-harm or if they're suicidal, they're going to be suicidal. That is like the biggest
bullshit. It's
the
bullshit.
best thing to do is ask a direct question. That's it. Just give me an answer. It's a yes or no. You're feeling suicidal or you're not. Okay, you are. How can we support you now?
Yes, I so agree. I actually did a course on crisis responding, and one of the things was that it's like, if someone is feeling, it's a myth basically to ask, if you ask someone that if they're feeling suicidal or really low, that they will feel that way and they will go towards it. No, actually it saves lives because they feel that they're seen and they're heard, and that's the way to go. Like, you can't just be like, like, oh, if I talk about it, then it will lead them to do it. No, that's not true. I think if you talk about it, it will lead them to be saved.
It'll lead them to conversation, and the more people that can have conversations, the better they'll be able to support. I want to, on this Zoom platform, because it can take a few people at a time, I want to start like a peer support groups, like, but keep them really small, like maybe 10 to 12 people, and focused. So like one on BPD, one on suicide, and one on self-harm, things that I'm most familiar with, and gather the people in there, make it really low fee, because I know shit ton of people who can't afford therapy. So make it a low fee, make it available often to them, and just be a mediator and encourage them and teach them how to support each other so they can form their own little support network.
That's so lovely. Important.
I think it's going to help. I know a lot of people who would like to go to therapy, but like it's literally,
expensive.
Like, it's so expensive. The only reason I go to therapy, I pay for it out of my pocket, but when I tell my therapist my story, her price dropped in half. So
wow, yeah.
And I've been lucky with 2 therapists who've done that for me. So not that they feel bad for me, but I guess in a way they feel bad for me, which I don't care if they do when it comes to dropping your price from like $150 down.
Yeah, no, it's, you know what, important is the therapy. Everything else, whatever they feel, like the fact that I agree. Like the fact that they dropped the price, thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Totally appreciate it. It makes you feel like more human, not just like, no, I can't take you because you're not going to pay $150. That makes me like a number or a statistic.
Yes, like the states.
Oh God. But you know what's so weird is I have a friend and she's very, very ill with cancer, and she sent me a picture in the hospital. She's an older lady, and their hospital rooms down there have like hardwood floors, windows everywhere. It's like a bedroom. It's not a ward here like with 8 people in it and your next door person's screaming their head off, and 1,500 families are coming in left, right, and center. It was like, I was like, oh my God, is that your room? She's like, yeah. I was like, all your room? How much extra did you pay for that? She's like, what? No, I was like, the whole room is yours. They're not going to wheel 20 more people in a half an hour.
Oh my God. Did she pay a lot of money? Probably.
No, she really didn't. It's just in some places, that's where their healthcare is good. I hear a lot of people also saying, I'm checking myself into a mental health center for what the fuck is a mental health center?
Yeah, what is that?
Like, I don't know. I mean, I got dismissed from CAMH because I, quote, wasn't depressed enough because I was dressed well.
What?
No, literally. I had a psychiatry appointment at CAMH after waiting for a year. 15 minutes was my appointment. And literally the minute I walked in, he said, well, you can't be that depressed because most of the people I see are all disheveled. What?
Excuse me?
That's what I said. Excuse me? I am so insecure that if I leave my house, I have to not be disheveled or I won't leave the house, first of all. And second of all, what kind of judgment is this? To the point that following appointments, I actually went into the appointment with track pants and a hat on.
Oh my God.
So that original statement would never be accepted. Like,
I can't.
How can you have that judgment? And everyone's like, oh, CAMH is the best hospital. I'm sure it's great for some people, but after an experience like I've had with it, it's a write-off.
I am shocked with that statement. Wow, that's not okay. That is not okay. How can you judge someone by their appearance? Like,
exactly. Within 15 minutes too. Even when I got diagnosed, it was because I went to the hospital and I told someone I felt you have to be careful how you word yourself because you have to say you feel unsafe without a plan in order to sneak in the system. And unfortunately, you have to sneak in to get it. So I backdoored myself through, and that gets me access to a social worker and a psychiatrist. The social worker spent 30 minutes with me. The psychiatrist spent about 15 minutes with me. And in that 15 minutes, I was diagnosed with 4 things.
That quick?
Yep. So then from there, they just tell you can have your psychiatrist for 3 months. It's only short term. You try and get an appointment once in a 3-month period. You think, okay, well, I'll go every 2 weeks. No. Even the psychiatrist that I have now, I can't get in 12 and 16 weeks per appointment.
What?
So I have to pay for talk therapy because my psychiatrist per se is simply a 5-minute appointment for a meds check because I've been unmonitored on my meds for, I don't know, the better part of 3 years. My family doctor knows a little about meds, but to be quite honest, I know a hell of a lot more about meds. So when I go into my psychiatry appointment, I said, I've tried this, and this, and I've researched, and now I want to try this. What do you think about that?
That's it? It's not actually, it's just like a checkup. It's not an actually a session.
It literally is a checkup. Have you been suicidal? Have you had any self-harm? How are your meds working? Do you need an adjustment?
Oh my God, I had no idea that was what was happening.
That's like, and literally like, so I have a friend who's a nurse at the hospital near me, and they have I think it was either 6 rooms or 6 beds. There was someone in the hallway of mental health for 4 days. There's simply no bed. So what's happening is, okay, so like I posted something online. Someone took it the wrong way. The police came to my door 14 hours later. Truly, if I was suicidal, literally I was eating ice cream in bed. So if I was suicidal, I would have been dead 13 hours ago.
Oh my God.
In my head, the situation isn't a situation, so I don't know until I'm like half asleep and in bed, and the cops are pounding on my door, dragging me down to the hospital. The hospital's packed. There's no room. There's no anything. You sit and you wait. The psychiatrist came in and said to me, "Oh, so you made a stupid post, eh?" I was like, "Yeah, I kind of did, and someone took it wrong." He's like, "Well, I hope you learned your lesson." That was it.
What?
Out the door. That was it. And that was 4 hours of sitting there. I saw a crisis counselor lady for like 10 minutes.
I am shocked. That is insane.
That's the second time it's happened. Before that, I went in and I was sent home. I didn't even get in past nursing triage. It just gave me some Valium and told me to go home and go to sleep and sleep it off. You can't sleep off suicide, okay? Just an FYI, people. It's not possible. So the support system is just not there.
It's not like what we hear. We talk about like free healthcare, but when you hear about all these, free healthcare, but what, 6 months from
price?
Now? Yeah. Well, wow. That's crazy. I am so sorry that you had to go through all that. That is, wow. That makes me upset because there's so many people that need help. And if you're going to say free healthcare to the country, then give up and not just do like checkups, but actually do sessions.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you know what the funny thing is somehow in the last 100 years, human beings and scientists especially have somehow decided that the brain is not an organ like the rest of the organs. So it can't get sick, can't get ill. There's no point. There's no mental health care because it's not a visible entity. It's almost like everyone with mental health, if you stamp them with a red mark on their forehead and then you can see, oh, that guy has mental health problems. Okay, well, he's okay for treatment. And you walk in and you don't have visible symptoms. When you walk in, you break your leg, they treat you.
Yeah, I don't know why that is not about mental health too. Because that's probably more important. I mean, it's equally important, but mental health, like, it's so important.
It absolutely is. And sometimes you don't have physical health if you don't have mental health.
Exactly, because it will show in your body.
Trauma stores for a long time.
Yes, exactly. And it's going to come up in ways that you won't even know. And you're going to get physical pain. You're like, why is my knees hurting? Or why is anything, and it's because of mental health. And
the money's got to be there. People can't be waiting for 9 months. For DBT class, for example, I've never been to group therapy. I'm not a big fan, but I said I told my therapist I would go to one session. If it doesn't work, I'm not obligated to go to any more. But that was 9 months ago. I haven't even got a phone call.
Oh my God.
For the next course, whenever that was. So I already know there's a September course that I'm not in. So however long the course is, and then we'll start another one in like January or something. So that'll be like a year and a half before I can get DBT therapy, which I've read enough on that I can DBT therapy myself. It's just there's not the support that people think there is because there's a free healthcare system. Everyone assumes that there's this, that, and the other thing. And you know what? It's a long haul. And I've talked to people in totally different provinces that have the same issue. They're waiting 4 or 5 months to get a psychiatrist appointment. 4 or 5 months when you're suicidal is 54 years.
Yes, that's a lot. Months is, I would just say even weeks is a lot.
It is. A day sometimes can be a lot.
It is a lot.
And something's going to change because everyone is just getting more frustrated and more busy and more angry, and people are set off by the tiniest things. Like we have a generation of children who literally will punch people in the face if they take their iPad away. How the fuck did that happen?
Yes, I agree.
This sense of entitlement is absolutely ridiculous. And when that generation hits the real world, I can't even imagine what's going to happen.
Those kids do not play outside. They're always on their phones. Or, what's one thing I just remember? There were kids that came over to my house in Sarnia. And the first thing, they're all friends. They're like 6, 7 of them. And they're like, oh, what's your Wi-Fi? I was like, what? Sure. Okay, here it is. They all sat in a circle, Jody, and they were messaging each other on WhatsApp and laughing. And I'm like, why don't you guys just talk? No one's down here. It's like, oh, no, we like to talk like this. They were on their phone chatting. I didn't even have my first cell phone until I went to university.
I know these guys have them they're complaining if they don't have one by 10.
Yeah, I was like, where I can't even. I don't know where the new gen. Even like when you see little kids like wearing makeup, I was like, I wasn't even allowed.
Oh my
Like,
God,
I didn't
no,
even know what makeup was. Okay, like
it's almost a different culture, really, that's growing up.
yeah, I have a difficult time already understanding that.
Yeah,
Like
I do too. I don't understand why you think you deserve everything. I don't understand where that's in. Did the parents give them that sense of entitlement by getting them iPads when they were 4? I'm not really sure how it got in, and not just every fifth kid. It's 98% of kids.
Yeah, it's everyone has a phone. Everyone knows, like, people play on their phones and their iPads instead of going outside. I'm so glad I had a childhood where I was like allowed to play outside and
No,
I
I know.
loved it.
Yeah, exactly. You had a backyard or a park down the street. You could go. No one had to watch you 24 hours a day. It was like, you had a little bit of freedom, responsibility, and fun. You were allowed to be a kid.
Yeah, it was like so grateful for having a childhood where it wasn't about gadgets.
My friend's son, he's 10, and this Fortnite game is ruining the world. Like, parents are screaming across the world at their kids to get off Fortnite. It's just taking money out of them. They're obsessed with it, and whoever made this game is making a freaking fortune, because they just keep doing little things that sucks in the kids to buy a little bit more of this, to get their parents to buy a little bit more, and they're obsessed with the game, like millions and millions of kids across the world.
Oh my God, that is just, it's like people who are making these games have a target market, and they're like all these youth, because that's the best people to, like, they'll hook them up so easily.
What are these people being taught? That it's okay to sit in a pair of headphones and play a game 4 hours in a row and never talk to anybody except for people on a microphone that you've never met? They can't even imagine. How are they going to propose on text? Yo, want to get married, eh? With a little diamond ring sign? Like, that's going to
No. Like, what are you teaching kids?
Yeah, it's an interesting world, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, my friend, I thank you so much for your time. I'm so excited. It's so nice to talk to you, and we have to make plans. We need to get together soon. I don't know when your schedule slows down, but we have to get Jay, and we have to get out before winter comes.
Yes, please. That would be lovely. Thank you for having me. You're always such a great person to talk to.
Thank you, and I'd love to have you back on if the schedule slows down again.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
Sounds awesome. Okay, my dear, thank you so much.
You too. Bye.
Bye, honey.
Well, as we wrap up the show, I would like to give a special thanks to our guest, Shreya Patel, for sharing her time and her story with us. If you enjoyed today's show, please make sure to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss another episode. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or wish to be a guest on the show, you can message me at OneLastKick71 on Twitter, Jody BEE on Facebook, or through my website, jodybuddy.com. Links can be found on the podcast website. Thank you for spending your time with us. Hopefully we can help to eliminate or at least reduce the stigma around mental health. Until next time, take care and be well.